Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And week 2 of Stage 5 of the CDL is upon us, and Crimsix is going rogue once again. We're expecting the Huke video to come out relatively soon, but this time he's calling out other pro players, but also the CDL for a couple of different reasons, especially regarding the situation and, well, some of the circumstances for the Stage 5 major in the World Championship. And try to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, I wanted to mention this. A lot of teams lately, to be fair to them, have really gotten the bandwagon of actually creating some great content. And Paris Legion, to my great surprise, have actually been, well, they've done 2 episodes in like a week and a half. This is at mind-blowing scenes. So yeah, definitely fair play to Paris. I think it's really cool to see these organizations get on the bandwagon, to be honest, on the content side, because there's a lot of players right now and there's a lot of organizations that make really good content, but you don't always hear it talked about and find it, because a lot of the time YouTube takes a long time to gain momentum and for people to find stuff and to figure out what works and what doesn't, and to get the YouTube's the titles and the thumbnails right that OpTic pretty much do every single time. So there's organizations like Toronto Ultra, the FaZe guys, for example, are making this incredible series called Unfazed, where it's effectively like a vision type thing behind the scenes of the FaZe guys. But that, it doesn't get the viewership I think it deserves. There's some things maybe they could do better, but sometimes it just takes time and consistency and patience. And it's cool to see the organizations getting on the bandwagon with that, and also the players as well. Like Priestahh has been doing some uploading. I think Shotzzy's streamers of late has been incredibly entertaining, and he should do some YouTube stuff as well. But content may be finally going in the right direction in the league at the present time. Wanted to mention this real quick. I got an email from YouTube this morning being like, we've enabled clips on your channel, so I don't think anyone's going to take any clips, but if you want to, just like you can for the CDL studio, you can take some clips on my channel and post them on socials, I guess. I don't really know why you want to do that, but if you do, it's now a possibility. Just thought I'd mention it regardless. I thought I'd mention this as well, actually, because yesterday we talked about the league play updates and the fact that there's this 74U, like blueprint 74U coming in, and people were noticing, as well, JAO says right here, Grateful X, that well, some of these attachments on it are actually incorrect based on what you'd use in the CDL. It's kind of funny, right? You've got the CDL blueprint that you have to grind super hard to get, and yet it's got the wrong attachment. So Matt Sconce over at Track says, look, that's from an old build 74. You will have the extended and the elastic wrap, as is well expected really on the pro build that they do have right now. So good the Trek, well, keeping on top of things and looking into things right here. Wanted to mention this real quick in the Challenger side, because in the North American region, just incredible stuff. The European side won by Mavericks, the Spanish guys, so incredible performance from them. And then in the North American side, it's Yeez, it's Parasite, it's Perform, and it's Ramby Bambi. I don't know how Hanky always puts together these teams of just, it completely seems a random team. He just picks together people from certain places, they go into the Stage 5 Elite, and they win the entire thing. Like, Parasite, he's had such an up and down year, so cool to see him walking away with this one, because there's a fair bit of money on the line for these tourneys. As Hanky says right here, let's go, Challengers Elite Season 5, $50,000 champ. So there's honestly a fair bit of money to be won in Challengers if you're consistently right to the top of things, and just incredible how the ups and downs that Parasite has had this entire season and gets the job done in the Elite. So certainly congratulations in all that. Put up team rigor all season. All these super teams kept forming, leaving me out, sketching on me last seconds. Was sent to the gulag every tourney, but this time we found a way. I love me so much, says Parasite, and certainly understandably so. Let's talk about Crimsix then, right? So he's going to be a little bit rogue as of late, there's no doubt about it. He loves hopping on the Reddit and giving some thoughts. This is what he initially said yesterday on some of the Trike developers, and how they have a tough time, right? You guys have no idea how much BS they got to deal with. Think about this. I actually wasn't aware of this, but they have the guy who came up with the post-patch Halo 2 and Halo 3 ranking system, which I think everyone says is pretty phenomenal for that game at the very least, currently employed at Treg right now. And that is the ranking system that was approved, and this is the ranking system, right, what we currently have, which, well, you could argue is a really a ranking system, effectively Black Ops 4, copied and pasted, that was approved by people above in Treyarch. In terms of gameplay, a completely different story. Wholeheartedly agree, we've been let down as COD gamers these past 5 years. We've got a wide assortment of variety in these games, but that is about it. So certainly a lot of hope that future things will turn around, but it's interesting to hear that they actually have some guys that know what they're talking about in terms of rank play mode over there, but whether they're getting overrules by people at Activision or by like higher ups at Trek even is another question, because remember the tweets that Vonderhaar did right last year saying, look, I mean, or maybe right at the start of this year saying, look, Scump, I mean, we're on your side, we're trying to, the hard-working men and women trying to get you a good rank play system, which, well, arrived, but wasn't really a good rank play system, right? Even though I'm sure there's people who know what they're doing over there, whether they're getting overruled or exactly what the situation is, somewhat tough to say. But this is what Crimsix continues with yesterday. Activision is lucky that us pros are just a giant pack of degens, or else we'd be boycotting major tourneys held in high-income tax states. California champs. This is kind of interesting. I think the Crimsix mentioned, especially the all cut side of things, he talked about this last year, that like if he was going to run an organization one day, he wouldn't take any cut for an organization. But this is how he broke down the champs last year. Last year's champs was online, so not really sure how that would work. But of course, this year's champs is going to be in California and in Los Angeles. And they always tend to do do it in LA champs, like that tends to just be a thing. It's been for several years now. So as he breaks down right here, you obviously like in California and other states that have state income taxes, you got to pay the state income tax on that income. In the UK, I think it's a little bit different. Like if you win the lottery in the UK, you don't have to pay tax on it. I think maybe you do in the US, but if you win prize money like this in the UK, it's just counted as like regular income, right? For you know, because it's kind of in your line of work, therefore it's regular income. Therefore, I'm pretty sure you'd pay something similar to this, but of course it's not. In the UK, you don't quite have the state and the federal in the same way as you do. But anyway, this is effectively how it works. You have the state income tax that comes off it straight up, then you've got the federal taxes, and then you've got the org cut, which is pretty significant. So those $300,000 that we saw go into Crimsix's account last year, I'm pretty sure Clayster tweeted it out, and of course that wasn't like in a particular state, so maybe it's not quite the same way, but if that happens again this year, then they only left with like 115k each. And obviously, well, this state tax is a pretty significant chunk, because well, as Bartsy says right here on the Reddit, if you work it out without the state tax, for example, if you're in a state like Texas or something, then well, that's enough for him to buy a pair of night vision goggles, right, saving about $22,000. So it is interesting nonetheless, because effectively, by doing it in these states, you're just losing, like the players are just straight up losing money, right? So I see why Crimsix is like, look, we should just boycott these tourneys and do it all in states that, well, actually don't have any state income tax, right? Because that saves us money. And that maybe is one reason why a players' union could be a good idea at some point or another. We certainly talked about it last season. Doesn't seem to have manifested in reality as of yet. This, though, Crimsix continues on. He's not done yet. I'm only tweeting this because apparently the players have got to buy their own families, friends, etc. event passes for both Stage 5 and Champs LAN events. When Mr. Adam Apicella ran events over at the MLG days during the CWL, we'd have 2 passes per player for family and friends. This is actually really interesting, to be honest. The fact that, I mean, look, at the end of the day, these pros, they've got good salaries, they're making a lot of money from these tourneys. Like, you could well argue, okay, you know, whatever, you just got to buy the event passes for the family and friends. But it's just another reason why a lot of people say, okay, CWL greater than CDL, CDL taking a load of step back in certain directions. Of course, we know that relatively recently, Activision let go of a load of employees working, I'm pretty sure, on the CDL and Overwatch League stuff. So whether, you know, just for a number of reasons, right, it's looking a little bit suspect as of late. And this is another thing where Crimsix is like, look, you're hosting all these tourneys in these states where we have to just pay more money, and it's well, it's only harming us, and then you're actually not even allowing us to have families and friends come to the events. We have to, you know, pay for their passes, right, to the Stage 5 LAN and then the Champs LAN, whereas, well, back in the day, we had to have 2 passes per player. So, you know, really looking at, well, what the CDL could have been, what the CDL was, and just saying that there's a load of reasons right now where Crimsix isn't particularly happy about it, and saying, look, if us pros actually stood up for ourselves right here, then we would probably have a much better experience than we actually do, because no one really, apart from Crimsix, is ever talking about this type of stuff. Paddy P comes in and replies, what we thought it would be, that being the CDL, I suppose, what it is still blows my mind, says X, and he's been talking about similar things on Zoomer's stream a few days ago, most certainly. Thought this was kind of funny, right, from David Vonderhaar, just comes in and reply, giant pack of DJs. I knew that if I committed to this friendship, it would pay out in the end. So, interesting stuff. Definitely intrigued to hear your perspective on all this in the comment section below. Let's talk about the games then for today. Probably, I'm going to have to come up with a different topic for tonight, other than these games, because I'm not sure it's going to be particularly entertaining. These are those for the week, though. I'm not really sure how many storylines it's even possible to come out of these 2 matches, but maybe Seattle can get an upset win. Who knows? Maybe LAG can get an upset win, even though I wouldn't put your money on that one. So, of course, there's plenty of games this week. The bangers really come in the upcoming days. Like, I think Saturday is not exactly great, but could be kind of interesting. Like, Subliners, I think, versus Ravens is kind of interesting, just to see how Subliners, can they bounce back from where they were before, because they've been having a pretty tough time. And, of course, every one of these matches is important for these teams to get a decent amount of points right on the board to try and, you know, Ultra are fighting for 2nd seed, Mutineers are fighting for 6th seed, so there is always some things on the line. But today we've got Ultra versus Gorillas, we've got Minnesota Rokkr versus Seattle Surge. The second series could be kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to that one. The first series, I don't think it's going to be particularly pretty. But Friday is great. We've got Dallas versus Mutineers. That's a big one for both of these teams. Then we've got FaZe versus Thieves. Now, how can Thieves stack up against the best team in the game? And then Sunday is a great one, because we've got FaZe versus OpTic second match, and it's actually Empire versus Rokkr. That's the final match of the night, but also that's pretty important as well for, well, both of those squads, how they're looking right now, because the Rokkr are trying to hold on to the 6th seed, and Dallas Empire trying to get the 2nd seed, so there's quite a lot of storylines coming out of this, to be honest. But today it seems like they're certainly easing us into what could be a pretty entertaining week. And wanted to finish off with this pretty entertaining clip that came out from the Dallas Empire guys. Shotzzy's been doing some cracking stuff on streamers of late. I talked about it right at the start of the video, and this is well, another clip that comes out right here of well, he's talking to some guys in League Play. They're trying to figure out exactly, well, okay, yeah, he is on Dallas, what is his team exactly, and well, maybe he doesn't exactly nail it every single time. But intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Who's on my team?
Your team is
Your team is you're the real one, right? You legit? Like
nah,
you're the real
nah,
one?
nah. Oh, what? I'm the poser, bro. You thought I was the real one?
Oh, look at that 2-piece. Okay, if you're the real Dallas, if you're the real Dallas Shotzzy, you got C3. Oh, that's the name, right? C3.
What is this, Chris Paul?
Crimsix. You got Crimsix.
C3.
C3, bro. Star Wars, bro.
Alright, bro, I'm talking to Shotzzy right now, bro. I ain't talking to you, girls.
Yeah, nah, you got it right, bro. C3. All right, who else?
Okay, look, I'll tell you what. I know, what's his face? That one dude, aBeZy.